here we are multiple hours later, and a broken Tapcon in the wall. Every 5-minute project can turn into a 5-day ordeal over a broken bolt. So ironically enough, I ended up using plastic inserts in the wall because the Tapcon snapped about ½ an inch in. That was the end of the Tapcons. Let's see here. So what's this? Well, this is how I'm going to mount this light base to the wall here. So the way this is going to work, at least in my head for the time being, is this is going to slide into here. Okay, that's going to slide into there like that. This is going to sit on the pad, and then this is going to be the conduit for the wire that comes to it. Conduit for the wire that goes to it. Now the problem is, because there's always a fucking problem, is that this wire, or this light, is what I'm going to tap the power off of on the stairs. So part of this, the vast majority of this project is actually illuminating my staircase. This is just a finial, for the sake of argument, at the top of the stairs. You know, it's a light at the very, very top of the steps. But the problem is, I can't get the drill in the stairs without it being this far away from the top stair. I just physically can't fit the drill in to drill into it so I can break off more Tapcons into my concrete. I may not use Tapcons. I haven't totally decided yet whether or not I'm going to do that. I bought all these Tapcons to mount these, and I'm leaning towards not doing that. I might use those yellow inserts that the electricians use to put lights on boxes. I don't know. I really wanted to do it with Tapcons, but after that Tapcon broke in that stone, I'm not too confident in the Tapcons. So this wire is not long enough to go from here to here. By, of course, the story of my life, about 6 inches too short. So I'd like to actually be able to utilize this plug. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the wire, and I'm going to install splices in the wire. Now I'm going to save you the vast majority of that, I think. Maybe not, I don't know. But what I am going to do is I'm going to cut this plug off right now and drop the light on the floor. That's alright, we got other shit to do. I'm going to split the wire a good bit, and I'm going to cut the wire at odd lengths. Why? Well, the truth be told, if I try to put two of these connectors together parallel with one another, even shrunk down, they're not going to fit in this pipe. Guaranteed they're not going to fit in that pipe. How do I know that? Well, because I fucking did it before. They will fit if they're spliced in a staggered, if they're staggered spliced. You should stagger splice anyway. But that's how this is getting done. I'd like to retain the ability to plug and unplug these at my whim. I wish these lights, the one that just fell on the floor, had plugs on both ends. They do not. Not without taking it apart. And I really don't feel like taking it apart. Oh, son of a bitch, these wires are different fucking diameters. Does it ever fucking end? I mean, really. Does it ever fucking end? So this is kind of boilerplate shit. Stripping wires is not all that fucking amusing. Except for when I do it, right? Oh, come on! Alright, off with ye. If you're not familiar with these connections, these have low temperature solder in them, and I really, really like them. The only thing I don't like about them is you have to use a heat gun with them. You cannot, well, you can, I don't like to say cannot, but you can use a torch or a lighter or whatever you have on you that creates heat. But the truth of the matter is, they work a lot better with a heat gun. So I'm going to stick that in there like that. And then we're going to shut the camera off and grab the rest of the shit that I need to do this fucking job. Never clean up, kids, because when you do, you can't ever fucking find anything. It took me fucking 10 minutes to find those things. And my heat gun set on, let's see here, fuck you hot. Heat rises. Heat rises and solder flows downhill. The stuff is a little weird. It'll hit, it'll just go. It'll go boink, and you'll know right away. There it goes. Now, I actually have had these fail on my truck, but I don't necessarily blame the joint. I blame the guy that did it. Okay. Now I'll drop my heat gun again. Alright, now you gotta let those sit for a minute. Yeah, they get really hot. Shocking, right? Something that you use a heat gun on gets shockingly hot. Guess I should have grabbed 2 more of those, huh? Cool enough. Alright, now, very carefully measure this one out. Now they can be close, right? They can be close together, which obviously this one's gonna be. But they just can't be right next to one another because they won't go through the pipe. And you might have a little trouble getting these through the pipe as it is. I'm gonna cut that there. And we're gonna cut this here. There's a lot of insulation on this wiring. And it doesn't shock me. It's designed to be buried, so. It also works better when you use the right size stripper. Alright, I'll slide that down there. Like that. And of course you always hook a wire. Son of a bitch. I'm going to strip that back a little bit more because I don't want to bump in the wire. Sorry, this is to put up with my shitty camera work. I swear I got a new camera coming. But we deal with the GoPro, which is probably going to start overheating because I'm trying to shoot in 4K now. Alright, so got that in place. That's relatively smooth for me. I'm not going to put tape on these. I'm just going to see if I can jam them in. Let's see if I can just jam it in without it. Alright. So that one's going to go there. That one's going to go there. That's not bad. I kind of like that. I'm going to stuff it together a little bit more. Heat it up. Heat rises. Alright, like I thought, the fucking camera overheated. Because I am every bit of the shithead that everybody thinks I am, so I have to splice this wire somewhere over here, right? So this is the lamp, okay, and it's going to terminate in here. Now I can squeak a little bit of excess in this tube, right? Not a lot, but some. The bends here, these 90-degree bends, this is not going to go through there, no bueno, right? So I'm just going to leave my excess here, drop that fucking light again, go here, go there, and I'm going to cut this wire somewhere around in here. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Now the real trick is going to be trying to fish the wire through this little tiny pipe. We got a trick for that, and we're going to show it in a minute. Because my retardation never stops, it just dawned on me, of course, that I shouldn't have put this end on. Oh, back to square one. And I have to get more wire because I cut this wire too short. Did I cut this wire too short? No. Alright. Oh, yay. Alright. I gave up on 4K. So, how am I going to get this out of here? Or how am I going to get the wire through a pipe with all these different bends in it? Well, I'm hoping we can Augustus gloop this bitch through the pipe here. I'm not exactly sure how well this is going to work. Been practicing that Augustus gloop line for a while. When they do real long runs like this, they do the same thing. You can do it with a vacuum, or you can do it that they'll lubricate the pig. All right, let's see if it goes. Nope. Got stuck right where I thought it was going to. You may have to put another wrap of tape on it. Oh, look at that. Popped right out of the end. You ever wonder how a bullet came out of a gun, Charlie? You're about to find out. Okay, you know, Uncle Joe was a bum. Sat around the house all day long, didn't do shit, but when he got a free chance to go somewhere, he jumped out of bed and danced around like Uncle Joe. So, let's forget how to tie a knot, right? So I'm going to tie a knot on this end. Oh! Knot's not going to work. Knot's not working. We're going to get some tape. I'm going to offend my electrician buddies, and I'm going to use masking tape for this because I don't know where my roll of electrical tape is. Actually, that's a lie. I know exactly where it is. What's up with the electrical project? see if we can make this work. A smart person would take that end shut. Getting it to go around these 290s is going to be, well, exciting. Well, not exciting. It's going to be boring. I'm going to be fighting with it like a monkey fucking a football. Alright. Yeah, it doesn't even want to. The string doesn't want to make that bend. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to have to do this more than once. I hadn't taken that into consideration when I designed this. I mean, I kind of did, but not probably as much as I should have. Yeah, it doesn't even want to. The string doesn't want to come through. Alright, that's enough to piss off the Pope right there. I have faith. I have faith that if I have to heat that wire up to get it to come through here, it will come through. Or it'll break. Motherfucker. Oh well, back to square one. And it didn't even go in very far. Alright, well, we'll be back to this in a minute. So here we are 2 hours later. That was a spectacular failure. Now I have the wire jammed. I fought with it forever. As you can see, the piece is a lot shorter now. I fought with it for at least 2 hours trying to get the wire to go through the pipe as it was soldered. So what I'm going to do is, well, I have to cut the pipe apart. I really kind of want this joint. I really kind of want this for a couple reasons. One is it fit and it looked pretty decent. So this may come as a shock, but I had already actually bought unions in anticipation of this not working. I just kind of didn't want to have to do this. So what I'm going to do is, quite frankly, I'm going to JB Weld it together. JB Weld works great, and there's going to be mechanical connections. I'm not running water through these pipes. I'm literally just running low voltage wiring. If I was a crafty fella, I could have just run one single wire through it and then use the outside as the ground. I worry about that only because most likely the copper would disintegrate in a matter of months, if not weeks. Anode, cathode, galvanic, yada yada. Yeah, so this was a spectacular failure. Let's see if we can get the wire out. I actually broke the wire, physically broke the wire trying to pull it through. This section here is actually for this lamp, right? So that's kind of, it's already measured, it's already fit. The unions have little nipple, like little dings in them to hold the pipe at the right size or the right length. So, boy, what a fucking pain in the ass this was. Not, hey, you know what? Not every project goes as planned. There, it came right apart. Now this one, well, yeah, there we go. All right, so now the game plan's going to be to deburr these so they'll fit in here, and then I'll glue them together after I run the wire through. But of course, I now have to add more wire and more pipe because I had to cut this off. So this whole, this piece of pipe is scrap. This piece of pipe is scrap. Shite. And the wire is now back to being 6 inches too short. Holy fucking shit. That took forever. So I actually figured out what was wrong. And that's kind of like... that's kind of... that's... You know, when you make massive mistakes, that's what you... the point of making a massive mistake is knowing where you made your massive mistake and correcting it. Well, I didn't actually correct my massive mistake. I just kept plowing forward because why would I correct the problem when I can just keep fucking up, right? So the problem was when I cut the pipe, so I wasn't thinking, shocking, right? When I cut the pipe, I did not deburr the inside of the pipe. So what was happening, and you can see it here, it's not going to impact anything other than it was impossible to get the pipe or the wire through the pipe. But, you know, point of note, what was going on is there is this joint here has a little piece of pipe in there, and that piece of pipe has a pretty bad burr on the inside apparently. And the result of that bad burr is I couldn't get the pipe in. It took me forever to go from here to here. And it was because of that burr. Should I have stopped, made a new connection, and thrown this one away? Absolutely. But I'm a belligerent ass, and I was like, fuck this noise. I'm going to do this one way or the other. So here we are. The other thing I did was I shortened this piece of pipe, which I think may have been a mistake, but we'll find out, right? So, where the hell are we with this project? Well, first of all, we're 6 inches shorter than we were before, so I am going to have to go up and check to make sure that this will still work. I've also come to the conclusion that I'm going to have a little wire hanging out here and there. And it is what it is. So that's going to get put out of the way for a minute. Now we're going to put this thing together. Jesus. Boy, that was just frustrating. Literally tiring, right? We got this one here. Okay. Now, this fits in there like that. That goes down in there like that. And that fits in there, except I forgot to put the nipple on the pipe. Damn it. This whole project, I'm actually, multiple things here. One is I'm a little tired and I'm a lot frustrated. So it's just kind of the way it is right now. So this is a 1/2-inch pipe nipple, the shortest pipe nipple I could get. Nipple. This doesn't have to be watertight, airtight, nothing. It has to not wobble too much. Too much. It can wobble, I don't give a shit. That goes in there. Like that. Then that, and I made a nut, you know, because every problem now has a 3D printing solution. Fusion does not have a doesn't do pipe thread. It doesn't do tapered national pipe thread. So you kind of have to fake it, basically. So what I ended up doing was, we're going to show in a second. That's actually good enough. So I made a nut to go on the bottom, but I needed to put a spacer because I couldn't taper the threads on the nut. The nut is made out of PETG. And I put these little things on there to be cute because I could, and it actually worked. Now, this goes in here. I actually like the way this is coming out, believe it or not, even though it's fucky. That goes in there. that goes in there. All right. And I just have to make the connections on the inside. Okay, so if I had any sense, I would have I'd have made a plate for the bottom of this, but I don't have any sense, and I was just kind of like rushing through this to try to get it done. And so this is the wiring, and not for nothing, the spinster's friend is going to hold that wiring in place. Was once told that I used more hot glue than anybody they'd ever met. Guess what? I love the shit. Gets a bad rap as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of things in this world are held together with hot glue. My glue got cold. Now, just load that up with hot glue. And try to stick it down in there without sticking my fingers in the glue. Which I'm dangerously close to sticking my fingers in the glue. Yes, I'm definitely dangerously close to sticking my fingers in the glue. I can feel the heat. Feel the heat. Screwdriver. Fuck. And we'll use a screwdriver for that. I don't want to use. Fantastic. Cotton candy. I let the glue get real hot because the hot glue soaks into the. So this substrate here is kind of really shitty. I'm not very happy with this print. There we go. And more because why the fuck not? I'm not going to use hot glue to glue these joints together. Probably going to use JB Weld for that. Remember, kids, unplug your hot glue gun. That's enough of this shit for the day.